Hello and welcome to Invitation to a Conversation. I'm Pamela Bailey. I hope everyone is having a blessed week and keeping dry from this rainy weather. My guest today is none other than Apostle Rosemary Woods from Bibleway International. Hello, Pastor Woods. How you
Well,
doing?
hello. How are you today?
I'm good, and thank you for accepting my invitation to a conversation.
I'm honored to be a guest.
I'm honored to be in your presence. Pastor Woods, were you born in Brunswick, Georgia?
No, ma'am. I was born in Thomasville, Georgia, and later moved to Dade City, Florida, where I grew up there.
Well, how did you make the connection to pastor here in Brunswick, Georgia?
Okay, well, that was about in 2011. We came through South Carolina for actual service, and then we came back. And you guys have the good food at Old Times. So we never had an Old Times in Florida, and we stopped. And when we stopped by, some people were talking about Mayor Harvey, and it would be good for someone black to come in and do something with the food bank. And I said, really? So they was talking about the food that they were only getting canned goods. And I said, well, that's not what we do in Florida. So she said, well, I think you need to meet with Mayor Harvey. So we stayed over the night, and me and my husband, and we met with Mayor Harvey the next morning. A lot of times when you go in a city, you can't just go in and meet with a mayor like that. So we don't know how privileged that we are that we had Mayor Harvey, because he was on hands, and you didn't have to make all these big appointments. If it was something important, you could call his secretary and you could get in. So long story short, we met with him that morning, and I'm gonna tell you, we were so impressed, with the work that he wanted to do for Brunswick, and speaking about how he was from Brunswick and had went off and was in the service, people who know him, and he came back and he wanted to do something for his city. So we found that would be a great thing. We went back home, we talked to the members there, and at the time we were in Fort Pierce, Florida, and a very good sized ministry at the time. So just for you just to pack it up and say, okay, who's going to go? You got to be led by God, because if not, it'll fall. So we prayed about it, and 3 months went by, and the Lord spoke to me in that December and said, okay, it's time for you to move. So I got up that Sunday, and I told the members, I preached, and then I told them, I said, it's time for us to go. Our season here is over. And that's how we moved to Brunswick. I called the food, Feed America, and they said, okay, don't worry about it. You already registered. They gave me Second Harvest number and said, okay, give them a call. Let them know that you will be coming. And they did. They greeted us with everything at first. But when we come, it's not like you can just give us just anything. We're looking for everybody to be fed correctly, from vegetables to fruits to milk to meats, not just canned goods. So it can get a little demanding for people who are not used to that. So across the board, we started feeding close to 500 to 600 people every Friday. And we thank God for Brunswick Police Department. They would come out and they would actually help put the people in line and help them to park, because at the time we were on Bay Street and there were not a lot of parking. So they blocked off the road for us. And this is every Friday they did this. So I'm so grateful, for the help. It's not only us, but you have to have other people working with you for it to work.
Yes. And from your career choices, you have had a very extensive career with a variety of different talents and skills. Early childhood, nursing, a restaurant called Rosemary, a kiddie daycare, and currently you are the pastor at Bibleway International. And I love your slogan. We'll get into that. Feed the whole
Feed the whole man.
mind, body, and soul. And your last accomplishment for career choice is getting a PhD in theology and mental health.
Yes, ma'am.
So How did you, with all those career choices, how did you become in the community Mother of the Year?
That was through Feed America. We've been doing it since, I believe, 2003 or 4. So then when my son made it to the national ball playing, he started playing for the Phillies, I started going up twice a year and serving food there. They allowed me to come on the field, and I worked with their Feed America up there. And I mean, we were actually there to open up one of the ShopRites. Some of y'all might not know that grocery store, but it's called ShopRites. And we were able to be there for their opening and give out food. So from that, they seen the work that I was doing, and they decided that they wanted to honor me with Mother of the Year.
Okay. And so does your career choices go in that order that I read? Or what was your first choice out of high school? What was your first thought of
My first job was pre-K. And I, learned to love the children, learned to love their families, because, in pre-K, you have to do home visits. You don't just, but that inspires me in so many other ways, because we try to fix just the child or help just the child. But when we send the child home, if we don't do something about the parents, they're going to be right back in the same steps again. So the home visits help you to see what's needed in the home. If they need to go back to school, if they don't have a job, if they need transportation, all these things you can do one-on-one with them. So I thank God for pre-K, because it taught me the base before I got started with all my other careers.
Well, all these careers are simultaneously connected together, because you started out with educating yourself on the development of little kids into adults. Then you went into nursing, and just in case you had to help someone who was sick or feeling bad, you had that. Then you went to feed them with your restaurant. Okay. then you supplied a place for them with your daycare. And finally, you are assisting with the mental health, which goes along with your slogan, feed the whole man, mind, body, and soul, spiritually, and that's so excellent. It says that you had 19 churches across the world. So does that mean everywhere you went, you didn't go to somebody else's place of worship? You created your own place.
We created our own, so that when we travel, we go to Port-au-Prince, Haiti. There's a church there. Kingsland, Jamaica, there's a church there. So we try to make sure that we're well-rounded, because a lot of times people have different beliefs from you. So if you can get the church, the organizations, and the pastors with you that have the same beliefs, that's where I like to go. Now, I'm not saying that I don't go to other organizations, because we do. Because we need to give everybody the same thing that we're getting. Maybe they pastor don't preach about mind, body, and soul. We don't know. But if you never go out, how could you know? Might be one person in the audience that really needed to hear the word that you were going to give today. And what if you didn't go to that organization? They wouldn't get it.
Right. And you don't have to look or ask somebody about a church to go to worship, because you created your own.
Yes.
And now the American Senior Care.
That came in with my nursing. By working in the hospitals, I started seeing a lot of the patients that were sent home, and then they could not care for themselves. And if they tried to, get private nursing, it's very expensive. So we created, not really, I don't want to call it a nursing facility, but I wanted it to be a home away from home. And that was what we did. We made sure that they was loved, that they was cared for, regardless if their families came or not. We sent pictures to them to let them know how their day went, sometimes video them so that the families could see them if they were afar off. So that's what inspired me to do that.
That's excellent. And you already spoke much about the food outreach program. But one thing that interests me is you said that the food banks had to be equal to all nationalities. Now, where did you find the separation of the food that was given out among different nationalities?
So when we came to Brunswick, and Florida is a little bit different. Brunswick is more laid back. It's more what I consider round table. And that's nothing wrong with that if that's what your city wants to do. But at the end of the day, a lot of the black churches were only getting the canned goods. So that's what we found when we came. Now it's a big difference because we've opened up to everyone. Now everybody is getting fresh fruits and veggies, the milks, the cheeses, the meats. But when we first came, no, they were only getting a bag of canned goods and, like cake mixes and stuff like that. But once we came, we had them to partner with Publix, different private vendors that grow oranges or apples or whatever the fruits and veggies, so that they could get them to bring in shipments of peas, shipments of corn. But no fault of theirs. Sometimes you don't know. If nobody never teaches you that, you don't know it. But they are vendors who will.
So what you did was just expand the products that they were getting. Because like you said, they were only getting canned goods. But until you came and showed them how they can partner, then they can get the fresh fruits and vegetables and meats. And that's what's happening now. Well, congratulations. Thank you. Because if people read that, they might think that this is saying that one nationality only gets this canned goods and this nationality might get the whole thing. So what you did was just expand for
everybody. Because when we fed, and there's picture and video, it was as many Hispanics or whites as it was blacks in the lines, because we allowed them to come around and pick the fruits and vegetables that they wanted. We even weighed them in. If someone was diabetic or a little overweight and they wanted to change their formality, we had people on staff that helped them with that. So it's not just you come and pick up food. It becomes a way of life. And so maybe you don't know how to cook eggplant. That's what we're here for. So don't skip those veggies because you don't know what to do with them. Just ask us and we'll show you how to do it.
Okay. And moving along, your community work also has to do with after school program. What does that look like?
So we found that when we were even in Fort Pierce, we found that a lot of the kids were staying home by themselves, and the older kid was taking care of the younger one because the parents couldn't afford it. They just couldn't afford it. But then we were finding that they were in the kitchen trying to cook. We've had several situations where the kitchen was burnt up because of that, because they forgot. They went in, they started playing a game. They left the stove on. Now the stove caught a fire. We don't want those kind of situations because a lot of parents really just don't have the money, the means to send them to after school care. Now we have a lot more with Boys and Girls Club where they only have to pay a certain, $5 or something like that. And it's much better than what I'm talking about.
Okay. And you have 3 different festivals that go on in the community: back to school, Easter, and Christmas. Tell me how you got involved and why you started those, and how effective are they to this day?
We started the Christmas one, I believe in 2001 or 2. And we've been doing it ever since. It's been very effective because most people, even on this past Christmas, we had parents in tears, kids in tears, because we gave away scooters, electric scooters, and every child got one, every child. And it was just amazing for me to hear one of the children come up to me and say, "This is what I always wanted, but my mom couldn't, she didn't have the money to buy it." And I mean, was in tears. It made me cry. So this is why we do this, not for recognition, not for praise, because we should look for our praise from God. Man will be with you today, and tomorrow they mad with you. So you have to know when you're doing something, you got to do it from your heart. You got to do it because this is what God is, His will. It's in the will of God. We don't want no child to go without having a gift, because even Jesus, the wise man, brought a gift to him when he was born. So that's why we have Christmas. But then you said about the Easter festival, we started it because people sometimes don't feel comfortable in church. I like to reach the outer men. I like to reach the men that haven't been to church, the children that haven't had an opportunity to be in service. So sometimes we forget that they might not come inside. So we have a festival outside with bounce houses, all kind of food, different activities, face painting, egg hunt. Make it fun. You know, this might be the only time this child will get a chance to come to a church activity. But we don't want it to be all about preaching, because you got to remember that if I'm hungry, I can't understand you. I can't hear you. We have children that show up and the parents that are already hungry when they get there. So we have to prepare for that and be ready to do our job. But if you feed me and I'm hungry, now I can hear you. And if you want to give me a Bible scripture, that's okay. But we need to take care of the problem of the situation first. Talked about back to school. We found that a lot of kids, didn't have nice backpacks, and maybe their parents can't afford. They may have 5 children, and this might be the only way for all of them to get a nice backpack. Paper, we can kind of get it around, but we want them to go back feeling good about themselves, not feeling like, okay, Joe has a nice backpack and my backpack has holes in it. We don't want that. We want them to feel good about themselves and want to go to school and learn. That's how we're going to bring them up.
Mm-hmm. What happened? What was going on in your environment? Because I'm always interested in how people got into the career choices that they did. So what made you choose the career path that you did, and how did they transition into each other?
So growing up as a PK kid, my father was a pastor. So you get a chance to see a lot of people, a lot of different nationalities, because he was in the brotherhood. So that's Presbyterian church, that's Catholic church, Holiness church, Baptists, everybody. So you get a chance to visit all the churches, and you get a chance to see how they worship and what they do. So mainly in the old days in the Black churches, we didn't have daycares. We didn't have, after school. We didn't have for the elderly to come and sit down and just mingle and enjoy themselves during the day. They did. So when we would go to the different churches, that's what inspired me to do what I do now, is to broaden our horizon, not to just be the same, but so that everybody can be fed. So that's what made me do that.
You're doing a good job. Thank you. And you received you received the key to the city of Brunswick. How was that? And when did you receive that?
I believe it was in 2016. Back to Mayor Harvey, he gave me a lot of recognition, but we worked together. Anything that he came up with that wanted to make it better, even down to the prayer, when they have the different business meetings with the city, I really got dedicated with that, because it was about making Mayor Harvey, he was our mayor. That's how I looked at it. And I wanted anything that was going to make him stand up, we wanted to back him in that. So we really got efficient on that. Also doing the food bank, doing the after school care, and doing the summer program. So these are things that we knew we could do better, and he's seen the work, and that's how we was able to do that. And also, giving out the toys, because at one point, I think the first 2 years, we gave out over 2,000 toys.
Mm-hmm.
That's how many people were there. People had to stand outside. They had to make lines to get in, but we made it happen. And he saw that work, and he said, okay, it's time for us to do something. Actually, it was a surprise. We had him on program for my anniversary, for one of my anniversaries then. And I had no clue that he was going to give me the keys to the city. But I seen him there, and I just said, okay, well, they're going to have him to say something. And so when he got up and they brought him this box out, and I said, "Wow, I wonder what's in the box." And so then he said, "And we're gonna present her with the keys to the city." And I was just like, "Oh my God, the keys to the city!" But it was a great honor and a great privilege for someone that's not from Brunswick to get that kind of respect. I'm very honored.
Mm-hmm. And do you do any? So, are all of your career choices still affiliated with your church duties? Feeding the mind, body, and soul. You still implement those career
Yes,
choices into your.
yes, we do. We do. Even when the pandemic was going on and a lot of the churches was closed, we was having service outside to be able to meet the need, because we found that when a lot of people were inside, if they had mental problems going on already, it was more because they're not getting to get out. They're not able to talk to others or, voice their opinions or just have a communication, because communication is key to all things.
Mm-hmm. And what is coming up soon for you? Celebrating what pastor anniversary?
This is my 30th anniversary, and we just give God the praise that, it's telling my age, but 30 years is a long time to be in the ministry. But I thank him for it on Saturday, this Saturday at 12 noon. We are inviting people out. The only stipulation is you need to have on white. We just looking to celebrate and enjoy the Lord together.
And what and before we go any further, for those who need a church, seeking a church, tell us, where is your church located?
So we're in Brunswick, and we're there off of Lee Street, 2108 Lee Street, right there by Burroughs Millette School. And it's right on the corner. You can't miss it. You'll see the cars parked there. And you'll hear my big mouth saying.
And so, what's next for Pastor Woods?
I just want to be the best all around that I can, and be able to help people spiritually, physically, and mentally. That's the whole point of doing the mental health, is so that we sometimes forget that all people need it. Even us, we need to be counseled at some point. And it's times in our life that we need to hear from someone else. And then there's just times that we just need to speak our piece and be able to relax and know that it's going to stay there.
Now, speaking of mental health, and you have to go through a therapist or whatever, do you think that one day that barrier for African Americans will break down and be resolved? Because most of us were raised about what goes in the home stays in the home, and the African American community were not one of the nationalities that seek that type of professional help. So where are we at with that right now?
I am seeing more on a daily basis. There's different people that sent to me, and I'm seeing more of us that, like you said, they don't want to do that because they've been taught not to bring others into their lives. But people are so hurt right now, Miss Bailey. They're so confused. They're disoriented that they're seeking help. In the old days, we didn't have the pandemic. We didn't have this type of a thing going on, and we've never experienced it. So now they're the ones that you think that would not talk about it is talking about it now. And I think we're going to see more of a change when we can see more of the leaders and more of the churches, even if the pastor cannot be a mental health coach or a counselor, someone from the churches have to say, okay, this is enough. We must have somebody in this church that people can go to and get counseling.
Mm-hmm. And Pastor, don't you have a CD coming out that we haven't discussed yet?
Yes, I have a CD coming out tomorrow. It drops on all platforms tomorrow. It's called All of My Help. And we're looking forward to that. We're looking forward to the glory, and God is just doing some awesome things. I'm looking forward to it.
Do all pastors sing? Have you ever met a pastor that can't sing?
Yes, I have. Not every pastor is a singer. Okay, so not everybody have all the gifts. Maybe they might be a teacher. Some of them are not even preachers.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they just teach. And then
Mm-hmm.
you have others that do more evangelist work, where they go out to all the churches and, travel.
Mm-hmm.
So it just depends. Everybody's not blessed with that gift, and that's okay. They got choirs and
Yeah.
praise teams.
But I was just asking because most preachers do sing. Now, whether they sound good or not, but they sing anyway. But I haven't met a pastor yet that doesn't sing also. Who inspires you, Pastor Woods?
I must say, it's so many people, and I don't want to start naming names, but so many people as far as singing. It's so many of them, and if I start naming names, it's gonna get me in trouble later because I'm already on a different platform, and I have to be so careful about naming names. But I just want to say, I want to leave a legacy. That's what this is all about. I want little kids to say, little girls to say, look, I can make it. Remember Pastor Woods? I might be gone, but at least they can say, well, she did a great job. We've seen the work that she did. Now, everybody's not going to say that because jealousy is always among you now. But when you get majority of the people that see your works and your accomplishments, you're doing something in the name of the Lord.
And what is your favorite scripture, phrase, or testimony that keeps you grounded?
I look to the hill from which cometh my help. All of my help comes from God. See, because we got to remember that. No matter what you're going through, no matter what you're facing, your friends might walk off from you. Your family might turn their backs on you. But you can always look to him who can make everything all right. And see, that's where we get confused. We start looking to them. They're human. They're going to mess up. That jealousy going to seep in. Envy going to seep in. Strife going to seep in. So you got to look to God who's going to keep you grounded. Who's going to keep you even when you can't keep yourself. You might not can't see your way, but if you look to him and say, Lord, help me. He's never leave you. He said, I'll never leave you nor forsake you. I've never seen the righteous begging for bread. And I never one day, God let me go hungry. I raised my 2 kids by myself. I wasn't blessed with the husband that I am now. I was a single mother, but the Lord helped me to raise them, a professional baseball player and a professional model. So I know with the help of the Lord, all things are possible.
Amen.
That's strengthens us.
And you sowing those seeds. Your legacy is sowing those seeds to so many people that you come in contact to, whether you preach to them, whether you give them mental health, whether you do service them into the senior care or the daycare, but you're sowing those seeds as you go along. Well, what wisdom or advice would you like to leave for anybody who is seeking to preach or work in the community?
I just want to say that don't give up. It's not going to be easy. But if you know that God placed you to do the job that's before you, don't look to people. I got to tell you that. Because if you look to people, you're going to be let down. You're going to be hurt. You're going to feel like the world is against you. But see, God, he'll make everything all right. You got to keep looking to the hill from which cometh our help. All of our help comes from him, who got all power in his hand. He's sitting at the right hand of the Father, and all you got to do is go in and he'll make everything that you're going through all right. Yes, it will.
Amen. 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 You went into that preacher voice.
You know I can't help it. It's in me.
You went to that sermon preacher voice. Well, invitation to a conversation, followers. There you have it. Apostle Pastor Rosemary Woods. She will have her pastor anniversary this Saturday at 12 o'clock at Seldom Park. And until we meet again, I would like to leave you with these words. Never worry about who will be offended if you speak the truth. Worry about who will be misled, deceived, and destroyed if you don't. And until the next time, be blessed and peace out.